right. Next up, we have Baylor B. The question is, if I am deferring my reimbursements from my HSA and leaving it invested, when is the ideal time to finally reimburse myself?
All right, Brian, I'm going to answer theoretically, and then I want you to answer realistically. In theory, right? So you think about your tax buckets. You've got 3 of them. You've got tax deferred bucket. That's like 401ks, IRAs, that kind of stuff. You got your after tax bucket. That's like your normal brokerage account, your joint account, your trust account, those types of holdings. And then you have this third bucket, your tax-free bucket. Those are your Roth assets and your health savings account assets if you're investing those for the future and you plan on reimbursing medical expenses. Theoretically, when it comes to distribution strategy, in an ideal world, you want to pull out of your tax-free bucket last. You want those dollars to grow for as long as possible so that you can maximize the tax-free growth available inside of those accounts. So that's the theoretical answer, Brian. In reality, in practicality, do you think that's really how most people do it, how it normally plays out? Or do we find that in retirement, HSA buckets kind of turn into, okay, if I have a health expense, that's where it comes out of?
Yeah, it is one of those things where we recognize this is financial mutant strategy here because only 4% of people actually use an HSA for long-term growth and investment opportunities. The other 96% only use it as a clearing account. You put the money in, it takes the tax deduction, then you pull it right back out. It never got to be invested, never got to grow, never got to take advantage of the tax-free growth opportunity. And to put everybody's mind at ease, we have done the research. We've done a show where you can go see the IRS code section or the part of the revenue that they point to, that you can die with the HSA with these assets, and then your beneficiary or your people who your executor and executrix can go out there and pull this money out tax free. That's written in the tax code. So it's not like one of those things where you got to hurry up and do this before you die. But it gets to the point of back to, and I thought where you were going with it was the 3-bucket strategy. We always talk about is that typically the order you go in is almost the order you go out, where you don't want the tax-free assets. That's kind of the last bucket you pull out of in retirement, because we love sticking it to the government legally because it is tax-free growth. But where you went, Bo, and I do agree with this, is it's not uncommon when people get to retirement, you'll say, why not start paying for these big healthcare expenses directly from the HSA, because I'm going to be able to pull that money out. It's tax-free. And plus, you actually did all the parts, because remember, we talk about HSAs are triple tax advantage. You get the deduction on the way in, you get the tax deferred growth over the time that the money's invested. And if you use it for qualified healthcare and medical expenses, it is completely tax-free on the distribution. I'm personally planning on leaving my money in there for years. It will be just like my Roth assets. My HSA assets will be one of the last buckets I pull out of, because I have huge medical expenses I pay every year with my daughter who has with autism. So her schools qualify for medical expenses. I get a letter from the school every year. We have doctor's notes in the file. So that tuition is just tens of thousands of dollars every year. So I'm going to be able to pull that money out, and it's all going to be tax-free at some point because I've kept the records. But I'm just going to wait. Why not go ahead and maximize that tax-free growth as long as possible? I'm going to do that. Now, I think it's great for people to understand you have a get out of jail. If you get yourself in a bad pickle of a financial situation and you're trying to figure out, do I go pull this out of my Roth assets? Do I pull this out of the HSA because I've been keeping all these receipts? You always have the ability to break the glass, use these funds if you get into a really short financial situation, or maybe a great, instead of being negative with a healthcare issue, why not think about if you had a commercial building or something else that came through and you're now trying to figure out, where do I come up with that down payment for this chance of a lifetime? This is another place. So let it be, have what your goal or intent is, but then know that you have the ability to get to this if you needed it.
Love it.